Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. Another weekend of motorsporting fun lies ahead of us, and so it is once again time to call upon the spirit of Mystic Meg and try and conjure up the results ahead of time. Feel free to take part. I rarely get any right, so you might be able to do a much better job than me. This weekend we even have our first series coming to an end for 2024, except Formula E. So today we will be predicting the Italian Grand Prix, Formula 2 and the final rounds of Formula 3, the penultimate weekends for IndyCar and Indy NXT from Milwaukee, NASCAR and the final races before the playoffs from Darlington, Formula Regional America and the penultimate round at Bowmanville, and the World Endurance Championship with the Lone Star Le Mans race from the Circuit of the Americas in Texas. Let's have a look at how I did last weekend. Woeful as always. Ash Sutton took a rare victory in 2024, so that was a good shout, and the obvious choices in F1 Academy won. But otherwise, I think most of them crashed. We'll definitely do better this week. Leave your predictions in the comments below, and let's jump into the video. Lando Norris took win number 2 at Zandvoort, beating Max Verstappen in his own backyard. Now the chase is really on, and McLaren have the tools to take this all the way. Whilst Ferrari have won the most Italian Grand Prix, 19 in the era of Formula 1, McLaren are second on that list with 11 Formula 1 wins at Monza, whilst Red Bull only have 4. Most importantly, Lando Norris needs to finish ahead of Max. He needs to score points on him at every remaining round, taking as many wins in the process as he can. He still has an uphill task, but it is possible. McLaren haven't won a Drivers' Championship since Lewis Hamilton in 2008, so after 16 years, will we see McLaren on top again? Well, we have 9 races left to go before we find out. As for the Italian Grand Prix, I think it'll come down to strategy. Max will pit early and force Lando Norris to counter him a lap later, and their strategy will open the door for Charles Leclerc to take a win in Italy for the second time in his career. Norris and Verstappen complete the podium. Franco Colapinto will be making his debut at Monza in place of Logan Sargent, and we will see if he can emulate Nick De Vries by scoring points in Italy on his debut, but hopefully getting a longer career in Formula 1. As for everyone else, it'll be the usual bunch just off the podium: Piastri, Hamilton and Russell, with Perez and Sainz retiring for some reason or another. I think Alex Albon could be on for points, and after all the drama for Haas, I'm going to be kind and say Kevin Magnussen will get a point behind both Aston Martins. Everyone else will be in the usual places. Another poor race for RB, you won't see Stake on TV, Colapinto will be in there somewhere with Nico Hülkenberg. It really has become a 2-division series in 2024. Formula 2 is back at Monza, and Isaac Hadjar is starting to pull away from the pack. He took his 4th win of the year last time out, whilst Paul Aron has had a disastrous last 6 races. Now Hadjar has a 36-point gap to Gabriel Bortoleto. I think Andrea Kimi Antonelli will take a win in the sprint race. That and a good time in Formula 1 practice would probably be good enough for Mercedes to confirm him as a Formula 1 driver. And let's say Victor Martins will win the feature. It has been terrible for the Frenchman, and when it looked like he turned things around, he got bitten in the ass again at Spa. Gabriel Bortoleto will outscore Isaac Hadjar and be the one to fight for the title as Paul Aron drifts further and further away. Formula 3 is actually coming to an end in 2024 at Monza. Who is still in the title picture with only 2 races left? Well, with 39 points, the max anyone can get, that leaves the top 7 with a mathematical chance. Oliver Goethe might be replacing Franco Colapinto in Formula 2, so I don't know if he'll be taking part in Formula 3 as well, but he has 35 points less than the championship leader Leonardo Fornaroli, so his chances were incredibly slim anyway. Fornaroli is ahead of fellow Italian Gabriele Mini by a single point, and both will want to take the championship at their home Grand Prix. Leo Fornaroli has managed to be very consistent, which is good, because in 2 seasons he has not won a Formula 3 race. I think that lack of a killer edge will stop him from taking the title this weekend. Dino Boganovic will take the sprint race win, keeping him in with a chance in the final race, but it's Luke Browning who will win the feature race and the championship. Gabriele Mini will get stuck in the lower half of the top 10, and Leo Fornaroli will suffer a rare retirement, and the British driver will reign supreme, spending the rest of the year in Formula 2. Moving over to the World Endurance Championship, the Lone Star Le Mans in Texas, the first time this race has been part of the World Endurance calendar since 2020. So long ago, Rebellion Racing won that race. Picking a winner here is just a case of picking one of the Toyotas, Ferraris or Porsches. Toyota seem to be back on track. They had a dip at the start of the year, but the Japanese marquee have looked solid since Le Mans. They are going to be the team in form for the last 3 rounds. Whilst Kevin Estre, Andre Lotterer and Laurens Vanthoor have been amazingly consistent on the podium in all but one race, their 4th place at Le Mans, they are going to be tough to beat, but I think they'll have a bit of a wobble in America. Number 7 Toyota wins ahead of one of the Jota Porsches and one of the Ferraris. Porsche's works team will finish 5th and 6th, opening up the championship for a glorious run-in. Meanwhile, Porsche are dominating the GT class, and I think another win for the 92 as they lay down an almost unassailable lead. Let's say he will have an Aston Martin and a BMW behind him, but the GT class is almost settled for 2024. A bit of an anticlimax, really. Moving over to America for our final 4 categories of the weekend. IndyCar is returning to Milwaukee for the first time since 2015. The last person to win an IndyCar race here was Sebastian Bourdais, and the only 2 drivers in the field to have won in Milwaukee is Scott Dixon and Will Power, which is hardly a surprise at this point. I could be lazy and say Joseph Newgarden will win both races, and then open a cold one and fall asleep again at noon. But I'm going to be adventurous and say Joseph Newgarden won't win here. His title hopes are all but over anyway. No, I think we'll see a shock first win of the year for Christian Lundgaard in a really mixed up race 1. I think we'll see crashes, blown Honda engines, more crashes, and it'll be another race where only 10 cars will limp across the line. Penske can put down their hate mail though. Scott McLaughlin will win race 2 and keep whatever faint hopes of the championship he has going for him alive. As for Palau, he'll finish in the top 5 in both races. Will Power will have some issues at some point, and Palau will leave Milwaukee confidently holding one hand on his 3rd championship win in 4 years. In Indy NXT, Lewis Foster already has his hand on that trophy and will clinch it at Milwaukee. I'll go for a repeat of the last race. Jacob Abel winning ahead of Foster, another crash for Kyle Collette, and Jamie Chadwick will finish in the top 5. NASCAR is at Darlington for the final non-playoff race. A few drivers are without wins and desperately need one. Kyle Busch almost took a win but got pipped on the line by young upstarts Harrison Burton. But Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs, Chris Buescher, Austin Dillon and Bubba Wallace are also without a win in 2024. Seeing as 12 drivers have won races this year, only 4 places are up for grabs in Darlington. I do think Chris Buescher will win here and leave everyone else to fight over the points for the last 3 playoff spots. Let's say Truex, Busch and Wallace. Finally, we have the Formula Regional Americas Championship. Ryan Sheehan has bowed out and this series is now all about Patrick Woods-Toth. He'll win 2 races at Bowmanville and Titus Sherlock will win the other. But the series is basically done for 2024. They might as well declare Woods-Toth the champion and move on to something else. So, they are my predictions for the forthcoming weekend. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. How many more can you get right than I? Probably much, much more. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss how these predictions play out in my weekend roundup next week. More content incoming as always as well. Thank you very much for watching and have a good one.